What is up, everybody? Welcome to what potentially could be the last happy hour at happy hour of the NBA season. Dunny, I don't know how we made it through this far, but we are here. It is time now. Game 6 of the NBA Finals, and we've got a doozy tonight. The Bucks were down 2-0 once in the series, have battled all the way back. They are now up 3-2. They lead. They go home to Milwaukee tonight, potentially take the series against the Suns. As always, Jake Micah joined by my co-host Donovan Holden. Dunny, as we look forward to Game 6, what are you expecting? What are you taking from Game 5? Because, I mean, the Suns, it looked like they had it all the way through, right? And then everybody's seen the play. The Devin Booker seeing his life flash before his eyes on getting the ball stripped from him by Holiday, the oop to Giannis, the father stretch my hands moment for Giannis, and the dunk, the stare down, everything. Just when you thought like the block was going to be the moment of the series and that was going to be the thing, Giannis just outdoes himself and gets that oop and everything. Another outstanding performance for Giannis again. But the Suns, what more can they do here? What did they do well in Game 5, and what can they carry over to a road Game 6 with their backs against the wall?
Yeah, well, you said it, man. I mean, those two plays, the block by Giannis, which people thought was going to be the play of the series, and then we have that crazy steal and then run out by Drew and alley-oop to Giannis for the slam. And you did mention, and we retweeted that Father Stretch My Hand video with that song playing too, and that was such an incredible moment. But like you said, you kind of said it perfectly. What more can the Suns do? Because in Game 5, they came up short at home, but they played a near perfect game. I mean, this is perfect basketball if we're talking NBA Finals Game 5. 55% from the field, 68.4% from three. They shot 13 of 19 threes. And it's not like the Bucks outshot them by three. They only made one more three-pointer than them and shot a worse percentage. 90% from the free throw line. And on top of all of that, they won the turnover battle against Milwaukee. 8 turnovers to Milwaukee's 11. So, I mean, it really just came down to the 3 stars who earlier in the series for the Bucks, we kind of criticized a little bit. And I think the whole basketball world criticized them and kind of just questioned, when are we going to see these 3 guys all click at the same time? Well, they waited for a perfect time in the series to do it. They do it on the road. They do it to take the lead. Middleton with 29 and 7 rebounds. Holiday with 27 points, 13 assists. And Giannis, a low game for Giannis, 32 and 9. So, I mean, what the Suns can do tonight, you kind of have to assume they just hope for poor shooting from Milwaukee, because they essentially did everything right on the offensive end last game.
Yeah, man. It looked like it was set up perfectly for the Suns to take that game. They looked like they were in control. I mean, it was a little worrisome seeing the Drew Holiday game kind of happen. It was nice to see Drew Holiday show up offensively in this series. He's been a tank defensively. I mean, he's done great against Paul. He's done great against Booker, but it's been lacking, and it's been clear, and especially in the games that they lost, it's been clear how much they needed his scoring, how much they needed his benefits, because this is a roster. Milwaukee's basically playing 7 dudes. I mean, with DiVincenzo out, it's essentially a 7-guy lineup. We've been seeing so much Pat Connaughton, like way more than I ever thought we would see in an NBA Finals series. Bobby Portis has put in good minutes, but they really needed a Holiday performance in the worst way, and he showed up the perfect time. I mean, exactly when they needed it in a decisive Game 5, and showed out and showed up, making one of the biggest plays of the game. It's going to be hard to beat that team when those 3 guys are going. Like, we've seen it with big threes of the years past, and everybody, talking shit about this big 3, myself included, throughout the whole year, about just doubting if they actually were a big 3, doubting if they had the star power, the offensive ability. Really, it's all worth it. Like, I tweeted from our account the other day, like, the Drew Holiday trade is worth it if they win the title, and he could go 0 for 20 tonight. If they win tonight and he has that Game 5, it's all worth it. They get a ring. Like, that's what they made this deal for for this kind of playoff moment, and he showed up in one of the biggest moments you could ask for. Looking at it from the Phoenix side, though, as the series has gone on, now obviously we've been big Phoenix proponents the entire season, so I'm not trying to say like go back on any of the thoughts we've had about the Suns so far. But looking at this series now, as we're 5 games in, going into Game 6, Giannis is he's so clearly the best player on the floor. No one's even in his atmosphere right now, and that goes for Chris Paul and it goes for Devin Booker, and I think before this series, people were probably hyping up Booker and Paul to put him closer to the level of Giannis. And for good reason. I mean, Giannis has been a lightning rod for the last 2 years, and especially this playoffs with the free throws and everything else. But he's just in a different stratosphere. He's just it's a different level of superstar that he's going to. He's putting up numbers that only LeBron, Kareem, Hakeem, and Jordan have put up in the finals. And I mean, there's nothing else you need to say. Like, you just say those 4 names. If you're in that company, you're pretty much set, man. Like, you're pretty much going to win that series going away every single time. I think Moses Malone was the other guy who put that stat line. Another NBA champion, another superstar, one of the greatest of all time. That's the level of play he's at. And the problem with the Suns is that their generational, star player in the history books, Chris Paul right now, is not playing up to those standards. And whatever's wrong with him, he's got to be hurt. It's got to be that it feels like it's still that left wrist injury or whatever he was talking about in the Clippers series. He can't handle the ball well. He doesn't look confident. He's taking himself out of offensive sets, like campaigns, running the offense a lot when he's on the floor. Devin Booker, he's not a threat offensively at all, and the Bucks know that, and so they're more than willing. Like the Booker games, Booker's played incredible the last 2 games because he knows he has to, because he knows he's not going to get the help from Paul. But the Bucks are like, okay, Book, go get your 45, whatever. We're just going to shut down every other part of your offense and make life as frustrating as possible for you. And then when it gets to a late game situation, you're not going to have space to operate, and somebody else is going to have to make a play. And Chris isn't making that play. And then what does it come down to? I mean, Ayton's gotten his numbers some of these games, but he's not nearly as impactful in this series. And it kind of switched in Game 3, and we talked about it going into Game 3.
Yeah,
the Bucks took bully ball to a next level. I mean, they've just been dominant on the boards. There's been a lot of Bobby Portis moments. There's been a lot of more Brook Lopez. There's been a lot of Giannis at the 5, and honestly, just Giannis dominating. So yeah, I'm inclined to think that we're going to get another great Booker game. I'm inclined to think that one of Middleton or Holiday is not going to perform as well as they usually do. But talk a little bit about what you expect tonight. What kind of adjustments you expect from the Suns and the Bucks?
Yeah, I before I get into that, I do want to mention, because you brought up a good point about Ayton. I mean, through the first 2 games, it looked like he could almost take over this series by himself, and it seemed like if he kept up that level of play, the Suns were literally going to coast. And I mean, you talk about adjustments that both the teams need to make tonight. I think the Bucks made it early with, saying that physicality was going to be a point of emphasis for them. And, it showed. I mean, they're bothering Ayton. He's not getting easy looks. He's not jumping to the rim as easily as he was. Giannis is giving him all sorts of problems on both sides of the ball. So, it's a bit of a wake up for them. And we kind of talked about it. I mean, if the Suns played the way they did last game, and we get that again from them, they kind of just have to hope that the Bucks have a poor performance. I mean, I have here that, the Suns, everyone on the Phoenix Suns roster should be watching that Monty Williams speech that was given last year, after their time in the bubble came to a halt, because they just really need to find it within themselves to do whatever they can do to go out there and win. Chris Paul, you mentioned, he's been playing poorly. He bounced back a little bit last game. I think he had 21 points, 10 assists. But as you mentioned, it was just visible. I mean, the stat sheets say one thing, but you watch the game, and he just looked a little disheveled. I mean, there must be something going on with his hand, or whether it's mental or not. And then as for the Bucks, I think you just keep riding your stars. I mean, they literally nearly did it by themselves last game. 32, 27, and 29 for Giannis, Holiday, and Middleton. I'm with you where I don't necessarily think that Holiday will have as good of a game tonight. And yeah, I just mean scoring wise. I think the 13 assists is something that he's capable of every night. But yeah, I mean, you just got to make it harder for 2 out of 3 of these guys. I think Giannis is going to probably get his 30 plus every game because that's just what he's doing in these finals. But yeah, I mean, you gotta slow down someone if you're the Phoenix Suns. And my biggest thing I have here is that they need solid contributions from the Cams, being Cam Payne and Cameron Johnson, because Cam Johnson's had his flashes of greatness in these finals. Cam Payne had him on in the earlier rounds. They're getting 20 plus minutes a game. I think these guys need to be knocking down their open shots. They need to be getting to the rim at will. So hopefully we see that for the Phoenix Suns tonight.
Yeah, there's some role player needs to step up for Phoenix tonight, or some combination of it to fill in for the Chris Paul scoring void. Because I don't think even if CP is able to kind of figure out a way to be effective, we're not getting like a 30-point bomb like game one. Like I feel like effective CP is going to be just over 20 points, maybe some assists, and kind of being more careful with the ball and being more selective in the spots that he's going to pick. It really sucks to see him laboring out there when he's finally gets his opportunity. But I think it's part of the story of his career is that he's never really been able to be what's the word I'm looking for? He's just not been able to make it through a whole playoff. Like he's gotten hurt every single time when he's gotten close. I mean, the closest he got to the finals was that Houston's Golden State series. They're up 3-2 and he pulls his hamstring. And then we get here, and obviously it's a condensed season. He played a lot of minutes. He played a lot of minutes this year for this team. They played a lot together. There was not really as much load management from Phoenix, and you're starting to see the effects of it piling up.
Got COVID right before the finals.
Yeah, I mean, that was bad. That was bad vibes. We should have known right there that was something up with him, like coming over. But yeah, Cam Johnson, Cam Payne, Mikal Bridges has not been good in Milwaukee any of these games.
No,
he needs to step up. Ayton, I mean, DeAndre Ayton, like you pick a guy number 1 overall. It doesn't matter who he's up against. It doesn't matter what kind of defense, how physical they're being, if they're letting the series get away, whatever. He needs to make his presence known tonight. He needs to be like a 20. He needs to be back to 20 and 17 Ayton, not 18 and 6 Ayton. Like that. Like he doesn't have the athletic advantage. Obviously, when Giannis is on the floor, nobody has an athletic advantage, but he needs to make his presence felt on this game tonight. I guess one of the other bigger storylines we have here tonight is Scott Foster is reffing Game 6. As we know, as we've documented, and it's all over. It's not even just, it's everybody. 0-13 Chris Paul is with Scott Foster in the playoffs. But you would have to think, that the NBA would want a Game 7 tonight. That doesn't really go with the Scott Foster narrative. So can't really make any judgments with it because it's both my competing narratives about the refereeing tonight. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't think it's as much of a storyline as it usually is, but we'll see. I mean, if Chris Paul has 5 fouls in the fourth quarter, we'll know we'll know something's up. All right, Dunny, we wanted to get into some this or that here.
Yes, sir.
As we're going through. So we'll kick us off. I'll ask you your own this or that to start. Devin Booker, over under 32.5 points.
I'm going under. I think
under.
Yeah. I don't know. Something just glancing at that number now, I just made that call. I think it's going to need to be a more of a team-oriented effort. We've seen Booker, have the 40-point bombs, still lose. CP3, we've mentioned he's kind of hasn't been in it fully. Bad shooting games. DeAndre Ayton, he hasn't been getting that 20 points that we think he needs to be around. Mikal Bridges, I think the Suns click the best when, Booker's from that 25 to 28 range. Paul's got his own 20. Ayton's got his 20, and then like a Mikal Bridges 15, Jay Crowder 12. Like those are the types of dominant games I think we've seen from the Suns regular season and postseason. As at least in my opinion, that's when it looks like these guys are clicking the most. When we see that elegant ball movement, everyone's getting a touch, everyone's making the extra pass, and then someone splashing home a three or an open dunk for Ayton. I'm thinking it's one of those games for Phoenix if they want to win. I'm going under with Booker's points.
I'm going to go over, slightly over, but everything you said I agree with. And I think that Booker, but if it's a Booker game where he's putting up like 20-something shots and he's at like high volume and around 30-something points, that's bad. That's not a good look for the Suns. They need everybody contributing, especially like we said with a hampered Chris Paul. So yeah, I'm going slightly over, but I agree with all your sentiment there. Highest scorer tonight, Giannis, Booker, or another person?
Going Giannis. I think
How many?
Can't be. 36.
Whew.
He can't be stopped. See, I think I'm going to do a little spin zone on myself here. I think the Bucks are better when they let their one guy cook. I mean, obviously, both these teams have more than one talented, very talented player. You know, they have multiple very talented players. But I think Giannis has been dominating this entire series. He looked locked in a video. I just saw warm-ups. I just think he's after it. Whether they lose and it goes to Game 7 or not, I think Giannis is going to leave it all on the floor tonight, and he's going to be scoring in bunches. Also, you mentioned Scott Foster game. He could be living at the line tonight. That's not what I want to see, but it could happen.
Yeah. I'm going with Book. I think Book's going to get it done tonight. I think it'll be slight though. It'll be like Book has like 35 and Giannis has like 33. Yeah. That's what we're going with. But I'm going Book. I think we're going to get the stars to show up tonight. And I'm really interested to see, like, side note on all this, I'm really interested to see how these guys look in the first couple minutes of this game, because we've seen, I mean, Giannis like getting tired right away with all the adrenaline and everything. And this is a very young Phoenix team, and it's a Milwaukee team that's, I mean, that place earlier I heard on a podcast, they're expecting about 70,000 between the arena and the people outside of the arena downtown. Like the energy in that city right now must just be unmatched. So those players are going to be feeling it, and it's going to be high adrenaline. These teams have never been there. They're going to be feeling the pressure of a potential closeout or a potential series ender tonight. And so I'm really excited to see just kind of what team is who's ready and who isn't, because both these teams have been composed all playoffs long. And that's been one of their biggest traits. So it'll be fun to see. Middleton points. Let's get into it. 25.5 over under. Dunny, what do you have?
Over.
So that's a big game. That's a big game with Giannis at 36 and Middleton around 28.
Chris Middleton, the last 3 games, has averaged 29.5 points. They're at home. He's been a killer lately. None of the guards, even forwards for that matter, on Phoenix can check him. I mean, I've seen it early in this series in the finals. I've seen it, just even last game. If he has a guy like Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, campaign on him, he is going to the blocker, at least getting them as deep as they can, and then just turning around and shooting over them. His 3-point release has looked just so damn quick. I mean, he catches, takes one jab, and that thing is up in the air on its way. And then next thing you know, it's straight nylon. Middleton's been cooking. I'm more confident in Middleton getting this over than Giannis being the highest scorer tonight. I really think. I think if any of the big three from the Bucks are going to fall off, I think Drew Holiday's points are going to go down, and Middleton's may even go up.
I'm going to go with a slight under. I'm going to say about 23, 24. it's all running in a theme for me as we get to our picks later. I'm like trying to strategically think of how I think this game's gonna go and be like, like it can't but I think it's gonna be that like razor thin margin. Right now, like through 5 games, the Bucks I think have the total point margin by 5 total points at this point. It was 1 point going into game 5, and they won by 4. So this whole series has been decided by 5 games as of this point. So it's gonna be razor thin. Going with a slight under. Let's go last one. Is it you had here physical? Is it going to be a physical game, or are we getting a lot of fouls? So what are you thinking? Do you think that they're going to let him? That Scotty boy's going to let him play in the game 6, or are we going to get some chaos and with some foul line chaos?
So this might be wishful thinking for me, but I think it's going to be a physical game, but mostly because I want it to be, and I'm hoping for a physical game. I just, we mentioned the Scott Foster. I would hope that this whole officiating crew sees that there's an elimination game on the line, sees that it's game 6 of the NBA Finals. It's win or go home for the Phoenix Suns. That doesn't mean I want them to, call the game in the Suns' favor. Of course, that's not what I'm saying. But I think this has been, a pretty bad year for the NBA referees. If I'm just being completely honest, I mean, just they've been getting hate from us. They've been getting hate from around the league. Players have been really outspoken this year about the referees. You don't want to top this season off with giving them giving them more ammo at you. I think you let the boys play in game 6, and if it goes to game 7, of course that too. We don't want to see the late night ref show. We don't want to see Giannis, take 20 free throws just for himself. I mean, if they're warranted, they're warranted. If the Suns are hacking, they're hacking, whatever. But, I'm hoping for a physical game, and I think that's what we're going to get tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think as much as people are worried about the Scott Foster involvement here, yes. And Tony Brothers is also on this staff too. He's been known for some playoff chicanery too, but I think this game is too big, and that's as much as we rail on Scott Foster. He's there because he's the most experienced. He's been in all these finals. I think he knows this moment. He's going to let these guys go out there, and we'll see who's actually going to, and just let them play and see who's actually ready for NBA title tonight. So let's get into it before we wrap up here. Our picks. It is a 4.5 point spread for the Bucks right now. Before tip off, Dunny, you start. Do the Bucks go home with an NBA title, and more importantly, do they cover the spread?
Not tonight.
No, one more.
No, not tonight. I'm going Phoenix Suns money line, baby.
Yes, sir. What's your score?
Score, Phoenix winning outright, like I just said. 117-113 in favor of Phoenix.
There we go. So we'll get back to that 1 point margin to go into game 7.
Yeah, right.
Being nuts.
That's exactly why I said
that. I'm also going the Suns. Can't bail on them now. We want game 7. Who doesn't want a game 7? Game 7 Phoenix Thursday night. That sounds great to me. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a we're going with a physical affair. I'm going with a low scoring affair. 101-99 Suns. Devin Booker shot at the end. Even if they end up losing this series, I think Book gets his potential star making moment, big shot time. We haven't really had the Giannis oop was kind of close to the end, but haven't really had a buzzer beater yet. So let's get one in this finals. It deserves it. This feels a lot. It doesn't have the same, obviously the same star power as that series, but this has been, I think, the most closely contested finals since 2013, since that Spurs Heat finals. Just the way the games have kind of flowed back and forth and everything. Like 2016 is a whole other thing, but that series, those games, I mean, the Warriors dominated some of those games, and then it kind of got silly in the end. That 2013 was great all the way through, and what did we get in that game 6? The most, if not one of the most historic shots in NBA history. So I'm hoping we get that again tonight. That's what I'm trying to manifest. Let's get something good here for game 6, bringing us into a game 7. Suns 101, Bucks 99, game 7 Thursday night. Manifesting.
Let's go.
Let's
I want
get it.
that. I want
All right.
that. I want a game 7.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily pulling for Phoenix in any which way. I just want more basketball. I don't want this to be, like you said, I don't want this to be our last happy hour of the season. So let's fingers crossed for game 7 tonight, folks.
One more. We're hoping, we're doing everything we can here at Happy Hour Hoops. Right. Stay locked here on us during the game for coverage the whole time. We're gonna be, no matter what, we're gonna be in for a fun one tonight. I mean, worst comes to worst, if Giannis is champion at the end of the night, the press conferences, everything, seeing Giannis so happy, gonna be happy is gonna be great. Like I would be happy for that guy if he wins the title tonight. But hopefully he does it in front of the Phoenix fans if he wants to win a title. That's what we're pulling for. So for Donovan Holden, Jake Micah here. Go enjoy game 7. Grab a beer, grab a water, stay hydrated, whatever you need. Enjoy the game. Bet responsibly, drink responsibly, all that. Talk to you guys later.